Hello everyone, so this is my review for chapter 2 of the Omori manga. The first video of chapter 1 did well, and I'm going to be reading it no matter what, so why not review this one too? I'll just say immediately that this chapter was way better than the first chapter, and I have a lot more positive things to say about this one than the last one. So we get to see a glimpse into how they're going to handle Headspace, and honestly I think they did really well. In the beginning here, I like that you can see all the little random alien-like creatures roaming Headspace. I kind of said this in the last video, but I also really like that everyone seems so happy in Headspace, like with all the new expressiveness in this manga now, which is something the game kind of lacked, but it wasn't at fault of the game really. I mean, it's a fucking RPG Maker game. Of course there's not a lot of facial expressions, so just seeing all these scenes play out with the added bit of expressiveness and character is really nice. So they're all enjoying the picnic, having a good time, and then Boss shows up and captures Basil. Boss being the first boss of Omori, and his name just so happens to just be Boss. And there's this entire fight sequence here to save Basil that I actually thought was pretty good. And it's not just like an all-out brawl with people attacking left, right, and center. Each character had their own individual attacks that they put a lot of emphasis on. Like Kel has his signature ball attack, and Hiro has the frying pan. And when they attack Boss, it literally says X character attacks Boss and shows the amount of damage they've done with each attack. And I love that. I think that's great. I like that they're leaning into the game aspect of it more. So far, it seems to work really well, in my opinion. I was very curious how they were going to handle combat in Headspace and how much of a focus there would be on it. And so far, I like the direction they're going with this first fight. Well, technically the second if you count him stabbing Aubrey. The fight wasn't too short or too long, in my opinion. I think it was just right. I think if it was any longer, it would have dragged on a bit. Like, been unnecessarily long. Because in the game, like, you know, this is not a difficult fight or anything. So if this was just took up like page after page after page, that'd be kind of like unnecessary. So they beat the shit out of Boss, and he drops Basil, and they make it a point to mention that he didn't hurt Basil at all during the whole situation, which is not a nice little detail that's also in the game. After the fight, Basil says to Boss, like, hey, I can tell you just want friends. If you want to hang with us, just ask. And he's like, that's a load of baloney, and spells the word baloney wrong, as you can see here. I'm honestly not sure if this was intentional or not. Maybe they spelled it like that in the game too, in this line of dialogue. I honestly don't remember. It's not a big deal or anything. I just thought it was funny. Baloney. Baloney is a stupidly spelled word anyway in the English language, so at the end of the day, who cares? Baloney. So they end up going to Basil's house, which is a giant shoe, just like in the game, of course. I actually am not sure if there's a reason for that or not. Like, does the giant shoe have some kind of meaning? Because if so, it went right over my head playing the game. If anyone knows what the what the giant shoe means, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. But anyway, we get to see Basil's garden or whatever, and we learn a good amount about Basil in particular in this chapter. Like, for newcomers of Omori, I mean, we get to see his interest in photos and his interest in flowers and stuff. So Kel and Aubrey get into a fight over looking at Basil's photo album, of all things, and it's not very clear, but I think Basil was trying to break up the fight, and they end up knocking him over. Either way, he falls over and all his photos just fall all over the place, and they're helping him pick up all the photos when they see a photo they don't recognize. Well, that Basil doesn't recognize, I should say. And the panel's cut off, but you can see that it's a picture of the something from the game. I was looking up to see if this was accurate to the game because I honestly didn't remember, but in the game apparently it was a picture of a violin, which I think makes more sense. So if that's true, I'm not sure if it is. I haven't like verified that, then I'm not really sure why they changed that. But once again, not the biggest deal in the world. So Basil's looking at the picture that he's not familiar with, and it consumes him essentially. And Sunny then has what I think is a flashback of Basil and Sunny talking and holding hands. Yeah. Don't think I didn't see you guys' sunflower comments. I see you guys. If you know, you know. Anyway, it goes back to the real world, and Kel takes away Sunny's knife, just like the game, or confiscates it, as Kel says. Another nice little detail from the game. We then find out what Aubrey took from Basil, which was his photo album, because if you recall, they didn't explicitly say what she took from him in the last chapter. And then we heartbreakingly see Aubrey throwing the photo album in the trash. Aubrey looks pissed off in this panel, and when she actually throws it away, she actually looks a little sad. I'm not sure if that's the emotion that this panel was supposed to be invoking, but that's what it looks like to me. And it makes sense she would feel sad considering the situation, I suppose. But yeah, that's about it for the chapter. Overall, I thought it was a much better chapter than the last chapter, and I honestly don't have too many negative things to say about it. So if you're someone who doesn't like something about this chapter, I'd be interested to know why. I'm going to try to do these reviews with the knowledge that not everyone has played the game, so I'm going to try to avoid spoiling stuff that happens later, just in case someone watching hasn't played it, because that's only fair. But that's about it. So hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.